Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. Ramie and Jessica, good to see you. And thank you, Joann. Everybody, we have a guest today, Joann Atchity, and we're going to have a great conversation about energy work and health because Joann is also a nurse, and I'm going to just look at my notes here. She's been an energy healing practitioner since 2011. She combines Reiki with Eden energy medicine, energy balancing, and EFT or tapping, with emphasis on the auras and chakras. And she incorporates Sanskrit mantra into most sessions. She's also has a history or a work record of being a hospital nurse and then switched to energy medicine. And so, Joann, so good that you're here today. And what I would love to hear most about, just because I personally know some of your other energy work, and we'll certainly get to that. You've been on a mountain hike recently,
I
and
have.
I am dying to hear the news about it. And if you could tell whatever background you want to about what energy you felt there or
Sure,
other things as well. And
sure.
so you take it away and let me know when you're ready to show some pictures and I'll click the right
Yeah,
button.
thank you, thank you. Hopefully we make that tech work. Um, I a little background about hiking. I'm not athletic. I'm not terribly coordinated, and I'm sure this will come out. I am a monocular person. I just have one eye. I lost an eye back in 1994, and so I've been rather accustomed to it now. But I love to be outdoors. I love to move, and hiking always was kind of out of reach until I discovered trek poles. Something so ridiculously simple. But once I started learning that I could move around very comfortably and easily with trek poles, I started loving to hike. And my brother also is an avid hiker, and he had always wanted to do a loop in southeastern Oklahoma. It's a 22.1 mile loop of 3 trail segments, and in the Ouachita Mountains, and it is spectacularly gorgeous. And our intention was to do the 22 miles in 3 days and 2 nights on the trail. So my husband, and I just want to say from the outset, without a seeing eye husband, I could not do this hike. So my sweet, precious, and incredibly patient husband was there literally every step of the way. Our intention was to get out there and do this 22 miles in 3 days. So that's the trailhead in the state park where we began, and that's my sweet husband on the left and my baby brother in the middle. And we started out on a Thursday morning, and we were going to go Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but we were able to wait for the rain, and and because it had rained, there were water crossings all over the place. And this one, my daughter absolutely loves this picture. She said it's her favorite picture of me ever because I'm grinning so big. But in just within the first, I don't know, 20 minutes, we had to take off our shoes and put on water shoes and do a water crossing. And then I want to show you this. As you can see in this picture, you can get quite a bit of perspective how far down I'm looking down, or am I looking up? I always lose that perspective. But you can really see in this photo um, the perspective to get down to that first stream to cross. It was about a 30-foot and about a 35-degree grade. So I had to climb down that to get to the water. And so I was starting to think at that point, can I really do this? Um, I'll back up a little bit. I knew that I needed to get strength in place and get stamina in place. And so and we'll maybe talk about this part of my health journey. I'm low carb, intermittent fasting, and briefly carnivore to prepare for this hike, just to get myself in good physical shape. Um, and we were out at Shawnee Mission Park here in Kansas City doing 8-mile days on the trail in full packs in order to prepare for the hike. And when I got to this steep embankment down to that creek, I was so glad I had trained, because I thought possibly I could do it. But this is what I could see when I was out there. There were these little waterfalls and little all through the trail.
Oh, so pretty.
It was simply exquisite. And so many of my photos, it is such truth that you hear you can't see the forest for the trees. This is one of my few photos where you really get the feel of the forest. The trees are tightly packed. It's very dense. And most of my pictures, you can just see trees, but this one you kind of see forest. And so I told this to Carla. When I first heard about this particular trail, one of the trail segments is the Old Military Road Trail, and it was started in 1832 by the U.S. Army, and it was not glamorous work to be a soldier. They were out there with pickaxes and shovels building a gravel road through this mountain chain. And it's not on the historical markers, but this road was very much used to relocate Native Americans. And when I first heard of that, I thought, I would not like to go there. No, no, thank you very much, because I'm really sensitive, as I'm sure all four of us are, to energy. And the more I thought about it, the more I was drawn to it, the more I knew I needed to go hike that trail for that very reason, to address that energy, to address the fear in myself, and to help dissipate that. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with the substance orgonite. Wilhelm Reich and others developed the concept of orgonite is a created substance, and I won't do it justice describing it, but one of my dear healer friends, Mitch, the orgone donor, I've gotten lots of pieces of orgonite from him, and he uses them to shift energy. And if you've heard that Arizona has more rain in the last few years than it has had, it's because Mitch has been blanketing the state with orgonite. And it is an amazingly powerful substance. And he he actually calls it gifting orgonite, that he puts it into the ground. And it balances cell towers. It can shift the energy of a cell tower. I have a huge piece of orgonite in my yard that is called a cloud buster, and it dissipates chemtrails, we think. And so I knew I needed to take and gift some orgonite along this trail. So even though I was conscious of every ounce in my heavy backpack, I took 3 big pieces of orgonite, and I really felt, and I chanted mantra as I placed them, and placed one at this historical marker, and then a couple more along the Old Military Trail. And I'll spoiler alert, we didn't finish the trail in the first go, but when we went back for the second go, I could so feel that everything about the energy on that trail had shifted. And so
Wow.
I feel,
Awesome.
yeah, it was
Can you
quite a
describe
profound experience.
how it shifted, from what
Just
type of
from
feeling to what type of feeling?
really just from heaviness to more peace. So I would love to have more descriptive words, but that's really I think that's as explicit as I can get. It went from being really heavy and dense to being more peaceful.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's amazing how much you can spread out what you're carrying in a backpack and turn it into something that looks like a camp. But But we did. We had a wonderful tent. And it's amazing when you're out in the woods and you're miles from anything, how a little thin piece of nylon can make you feel protected. But it really, really worked. I loved it so much. And there's me at the campfire. And there's some more of that incredible vista. As you go through these mountains, you're literally on the side of a mountain. And another spoiler alert: I didn't read the All Trails is a pretty famous hiking website, All Trails, and I didn't read the reviews of this trail until after we were on our way home from the second one, and it used words like hard and treacherous. I was really glad I didn't know those words before I went twice. It was hard, and there were bits of it when I would completely say, yes, we're treacherous. But I'm so glad I did it, and I've asked myself dozens of times, why on earth did I do this? And I think it was partly to really know I can do hard things, and that's, I think, a thing that's sort of trained out of us. And let's see, that's just it's not really easy to see in this photo at all, but that's a map of where we were. But this is a just another view of, from my husband was below looking up, taking a picture of me. And we have a couple of videos. I didn't try to share the videos because I thought that might be technically challenging, but my husband did take videos of me moving down the trail so painfully slow. He was so patient, waiting. But I did it, and I did it safely, and I'm still kind of gobsmacked that I was actually able to do that. I love my comfort, and one of my comforts is, and I have it right here right now, is tea. And we had a little stove on a little fuel canister and a little titanium pot. And so out on the trail, I would make a lovely cup of tea. And there's another one of our campsites. That's my sweetie there. And right to the left of him, there's a bag hanging that to nurses is going to look like an IV bag, or perhaps a catheter bag.
Or an enema bag.
Or there you go. But no, it was actually, we used that to fill water from the streams, and then we had a water filter. So that was our water source while we were on the trail. And there's just me happy to be out there. And along this trail, there were probably a dozen campsites that other hikers had made with fire rings. And we were really fortunate. 3 of our 4 nights on the trail that we were able to have fire rings and have a fire. So there's Greg filtering some more water. We had really great cuisine.
I like that picture.
I do too. So for the most part, I didn't put a picture, but for the most part, we had things like dried meat and beef jerky, that kind of thing. But we had backpacker meals. And because Greg and I really try to stay low carb and know that being in ketosis gives us access to more energy, we had dehydrated backpacker meals of bacon and eggs that were great. But you know, what's a camp without a hot dog? And there's a photo of my beloved trek poles and my backpack. My husband laughs because we'll just be out at Shawnee Mission Park or wherever we may be, and I have my trek poles, and I will just shout, I love my trek poles. Or I often just call them my sticks. I love my sticks. So there's my sticks and my backpack. In between the 2 hikes, oh, and I guess I should say that at this point, because these pictures are clearly from the second go. We got to about 14 miles into the 22, and my brother, who started with us, just was done. He was not prepared to go another day. It was going to take us 4 days instead of 3, and he said, no, sis, I'm done. So we the trail crosses the highway at a couple of places, and we were able to bug out. And Greg and I came home, and my brother went back to Texas. And when we got home, it was so unsatisfactory. We trained for months, at least 2.5 months, out at Shawnee Mission Park doing 8-mile days. And we got home, and I knew I had done a hard thing, even doing the 14 miles that we did, but I wanted to go back. And my husband was in agreement. So back we went. And in the 10 days in between, I got a new backpack. And what's awesome about this purple pack is, one, that it's purple, but two, the name of it is it's the Osprey brand, but the name of the pack is the Aura AG50. And Aura is, many healers call it the biofield, but I still am old school and call it Aura. And that is my special gift, I think, from Source, is to work in the Aura. And so when my purple backpack was named Aura, I had to have it. So the AG in the name stands for anti-gravity, which is, it is an awesome pack. So I was able to carry a lot more weight on the second go around. And so I had spoiled that we went back a second time, and the entire energy of the second time was just shifted. And I like to think it was the Organite. It maybe was my fancy new Aura anti-gravity backpack, but it was it was astounding to me that it was the same trail, because it was not the same experience. It was just so much more elevated. And I think I was just listening to one of your previous podcasts, and Jessica, you were talking about really, I think it was you, making a real intention to constantly, no matter what the circumstance, to raise your elevation, or raise your vibration, raise your frequency. And I so appreciated that. And that's, I don't know if that's why, but oh my goodness. It was, so this was energy in the other direction. The first morning we woke up on the second hike, it was 37 degrees when we woke up. So that's why I look so cold in that picture.
Oh, I need to switch you the screen. So there, yeah.
Yeah, it was 37 degrees, and I was, oh my gosh. And I don't like cold, but in the last few years, summer of 2020, I don't know if you're familiar with Wim Hof, but he is a Dutch athlete who part of his philosophy is the cold plunge, breath work, ice baths, and meditation.
Yeah.
And I've done several ice baths, not just alone at home, but in group setting. And ever since, my cold tolerance is night and day difference. And I would never have believed that I could wake up in 37 degrees and get up and get going. And I don't look back on this photo and think, oh my gosh, I was so cold. I look back and think, oh my gosh, that was so fun. So that's a seed change.
That's
Our
awesome.
little dog went with us, and he carried his own food and water.
Oh my goodness.
That is Blitzen. He's a full-blood border collie, and he is so busy, but he was just so fun on the trail. So I included this photo because most of the trail was very verdant and very green, lots and lots of plants. But just in this particular photo on the crest, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but going around the trail. So we were way around, but you can see how it is really cut into the side of the mountain. And the trail itself is 2 feet wide. And in this area, you can really see that the trail just drops down, 45, 50, even steeper angle. And here, that was no problem, because you can absolutely see where you are. But in all the parts of the trail up the steepest bits, and the elevation change was about, I think, 2,300 feet, which is a big deal, climbing straight up 2,300 feet. And there was about a 600-foot elevation gain in 0.7 of a mile, and it kicked my behind. But it was all along the edge, I did find at one point I got my trek pole out a little bit too far and it gave and I had a little tumble, but just straight down, not down the mountain, just onto the path. And I'm so grateful for that experience because it taught me how to manage my poles and keep them on the trail and keep me safe. And I know that that little tumble was a very cheap lesson to keep me safe on all the rest of the trail. And that is the absolute payoff.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Now, what part of Oklahoma? You said southeast, right?
Almost to the Arkansas border.
Okay. We were, that was fairly close to where my husband and I homesteaded. Um, we
Really?
were we were only within maybe 60 miles of the Texas border, I'd say, and we were only maybe 30 miles from the Arkansas border. So,
Wow.
mhm.
So
So
you
that
really
was
wanted
our
to
view.
visit.
Yeah, that was like
Yeah.
our view
Oh,
every morning. Yeah,
oh my
yeah.
gosh. Well, it's exquisite. It's just exquisite. And there we are at the end, 22.1 miles in. And the first time we were only going at a 4-day pace, but the second time, and I don't know if it was just because of being familiar or the lightening of the energy, but we did complete it in 3 days.
Great. Good for you.
So if I
Yeah.
can figure out
Awesome.
how to turn off sharing.
Well,
Let's see.
I'm just impressed that you did all the training and then you did it. I mean, we're about the same age and you know, I don't really have a desire to do that. It's too much work right now, right? I love walking around town and I love a nice gradual slope on a hill, right? And if I go back to my mom's, I like a trek up in the pasture, but it's nothing like hiking a steep trail and kudos to you, Joanne. I'm proud of you.
You. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I really think had I not been on a health journey, I think maybe this was um, uh, I need an arbitrary deadline to get anything done. I don't know if any of you have that feature in your personality. Some of us, who've been labeled ADD, that we can't get anything done till there's a deadline. But I needed something to steer toward to really promote my health journey. The knowing that I need to exercise every day to I think all of us of a certain age know that maintaining our lean muscle mass is critical to healthy longevity. But am I going to get up and exercise every day? No, I'm really not. But with this hike on the horizon, I knew I couldn't do it if I didn't get that pack on. Um, what was nuts is we were so concerned about there being water on the second hike because there was rain before the first hike, but it really hadn't rained more than a little bit before the second one. And it was amazing how much most of the streams had dried up. So the super steep part, I had a 30-pound pack, which I'd been training with about 24-pound pack. And so I had about an extra 6 pounds of water so that make sure that we would have water for the whole rest of the hike. And I knew I would need those muscles. They weren't just for show. They weren't for to know I did it. I needed them to be able to accomplish this. So have I exercised much since we got home a week ago? No. But I do.
Well,
It was
I
it
have
was. Though I'll choose the next thing that will get me exercising again
there you
and
go. There you go.
doing strength training. The other thing I'll throw out, and maybe I can offer this as a challenge to you three as well. I read a book last fall called Built to Move by Kelly Starrett. And Kelly is a PhD physical therapist. And he studies movement and longevity. And one of the predictors of healthy longevity is the sit rise test, meaning you can sit down, go from standing to sitting on the floor without touching your hands. And you have to have good knee and hip strength and core strength. I can sit down, but I can't get back up. And so that's the next thing that I'm setting my intention, is to keep strengthening the knees and ankles and hips and core so that I can do that.
Right.
And it
I
isn't just arbitrary. It's actually, you can feel that it changes your whole physiology to be able to rely on your body in that way.
Well, it does. I started about, um, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago or something, because I had noticed how weaker I was, like climbing into the back of the truck or something like that. I used to do it with ease, and it was hard. So I had my chiropractor give me a set of exercises to do, and so I've been doing them diligently, and then I've added to them. And so I think I can. I haven't tried going completely from sitting, but I do the lunges and the squats and hip things. So I'm pretty sure I can do that, because I had to do that when I worked in nursing homes, as an aide. You
Right?
needed that to be able to get up without hanging on to anything.
Right.
And of course, I was a lot younger then too. 10 or 15 years is a big time difference on. I noticed, your mid 50s, or especially your late 50s to 60. It's like your energy or your muscle mass, it like goes.
Right.
There's a big
Right.
change in it, over a short amount of time, if you're not keeping it up. So I maintain a diligent exercise routine. I try to do it every day, or at least like 5 days a week. But with springtime, my morning schedule has changed. So I need to do garden work, and I need to. We do cleaver juice, so I have to go out and pick cleavers every morning. I shouldn't say have to, I get to, and I'm thankful to do it. So I go pick cleavers and make the juice, and then I go out and pick asparagus and handle that, and then I walk the pup, and then I do this. But it takes my exercise time, because I have to like start getting up earlier
Right.
to be able to have, because I what I find is then I don't, if one of my energy sessions, or this morning the podcast comes, I was thankful I got it in before the podcast, but it was like, usually if I don't get it done in the morning before my first commitment comes, I don't go back to it in the afternoon. I'm just a
Right.
morning person, and the important things have to be done in the morning, or I might not get to them. And but yeah, how important it is for that routine, for sure, because it
Absolutely.
doesn't take
Absolutely.
long. 2, 3 days of not doing them, and it's much harder to do them. It's like,
Mhm.
and it's was so much work to build up to being able to do them, that I hate the
Mhm.
idea of having to go back to building
Right.
up again. It's so much easier to maintain, right, once you
Right.
have it. So that's my
Yeah.
speech on exercises. Yeah.
Well, and I really think that health is a whole package. I know all of us know that it's a whole package. It's every breath we take and how we breathe. It's every molecule we put in our mouth, every bit of food that we eat, every thought we think. All of the things contribute to health. And if I know, if I hadn't been on a low carb diet, and I know there's not one size fits all, but for me, low carb, even leaning all the way into carnivore, I dropped so much inflammation out of my body in eliminating carbs, that was, many pounds of swelling that I don't have to carry around anymore. And so that's a
Yeah.
huge part of the piece. Yeah,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it increases our voltage so much higher. That's what you were talking, your vibration or voltage
yes,
changes. And it's huge.
absolutely.
It's a whole perspective, right? But
Absolutely.
would you want to tell us some more about your energy, your business, then the work that you do?
Sure, thanks. I probably have always been an energy healer and didn't know it, as all of us. I think it's probably our innate beingness is to, we are energy. There isn't anything but energy. Um, and some of us come in not knowing or not remembering that we're energy workers. And then about 2009, I was introduced to Reiki, and a woman I knew attuned me to Reiki with zero training. She said, "Hey, you want to do Reiki?" I'm like, "Sure." And so she did the attunement, and set my hair on fire. And I could feel that my energy had shifted with that attunement, but didn't know what to do with it. And in 2011, I knew that as a nurse, I had learned how to do things, but I didn't know how to be a nurse until I went to my clinical practice in college. You go in and you become a nurse, you do the work. And I knew I needed a clinical practice for Reiki. And so in March of 2011, I offered everyone I knew a Reiki session for a love offering. So that month was to be my clinical practice. And I hoped to see a few, and I think I had 18 sessions that month, which for energy work is a lot. And really got excited about it and got comfortable with um, I don't comfortable probably is not the right word, but aware of how my intention affected my energy and my client's energy. And happily, that same month, I was introduced to Donna Eden. She was in Kansas City for a weekend workshop, and I was able to attend that. And those two things together, doing my Reiki practice and meeting and learning from Donna Eden all in the same month, just shifted absolutely everything in my life. And then in the fall of that year, I took an energy psychology training with Donna's husband, David's organization. And the first, I was the first demo on the first day, and my lifelong awareness of lack was pulled out by the roots like a weed. And that really shifted my life into something completely different. And having that experience and then bringing that into working with clients has just given me such a gift of being able to be aware of and be in the lovely field of energy.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, and I attest, we've had some sessions together, trading and things, and um, the sessions that I've had with you have been very powerful. Yeah, especially
Thank
the
you.
last one where we did the tapping to get to the root of like one of my longest term old stories of from that were all based on my 3-year-old trauma that I'd had, and it it's just shifted my life. I have to say, it's just going through. It was like I think we had found that there was the little girl consciousness of me had like 10 different blocks, to different emotions and or patterns, and we went through them one by one, and it was draining. It was so draining, but it cleared them all, and it's been a huge shift. Yeah, it's been awesome. It's like I don't have the drive to accomplish things to prove myself. I can stop and wait for the universe to work. Yeah.
Oh, thank you,
Thank you.
Carla.
I just wanted to tell you thank you. Yeah.
Oh, well, that kind of a healing experience is such a two-way street. The client has to be ready, has to be ready to do that work and willing, and you brought everything to the table. So that was the reason we were able to move so far along.
I agree. The other thing, but that comment made me think of Jessica as a health coach. When I first started my inner healing, I guess you could call it, was before I hit my bottom, but I had some health issues, so had a I did several for about a year or so. I saw a health coach, um, and I made these switches, and it was great. And she helped health wise, but um, uh, she gave me the emotional or the awareness support or the questioning my motives support enough, as a life coach would. It didn't feel to me like it was health coach work. It was, except for some suggestions on how to change my diet. And she had said the same thing, that she loved working with me because I was ready and I was doing all the work,
Mhm.
and 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 I know from my work that's how it is. When the person is really ready and really committed, things change, right? When you
Mhm.
really know that that's what you want and that's your inner drive, things shift. Yeah.
When the student is
So
ready, the teacher appears. So you manifested me.
I did.
Yeah,
Yep, I
yeah,
did. I did for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you talked about already that session focused on root cause, and I feel like that is the shift that is happening in allopathic medicine and energy healing in all of our world. The veils are coming away that have hidden all the nonsense, and we're seeing root cause of so many things. And as a health coach, Jessica, I'm sure you're aware of this, that metabolic health is really the root cause of almost every disease that we call a disease.
Yeah,
And holding old blocks in our of trauma in our consciousness can be root cause of all of our emotional,
of that.
well, diseases. And when
Yeah.
Yeah,
we go
and
in, go ahead.
what I find below the emotional, right? Below the emotional blocks, or it's spiritual. Everything, because we're energy, because we're spiritual. In fact, I was just reading, I'd gotten an email, I can't remember who it was from, and they sent a link to blog that Dr. Bruce Lipton had written, and he was saying that he gave the dictionary the meaning. I can't think of the definition of energy, and then he gave the definition of spirit. And when you boiled those two down to the simplest meaning, they were the same, right? Which is what I find in my work, right? And energy, that it's spirit. We are spirit. Our biofield is spirit. It's just that our body is spirit. It's more condensed particles, so you can see it and feel it easier. And because we're made of spirit, everything boils down to spirit, and the alignment we have, so that our mind can be quiet and listen to our spirit, right? Listen to our inner self. Listen to God, the universal spirit.
Very well said.
Yeah, life is good, right? I think the healing journey, right, beside our own personal ones, but just energy work in general, which all of us do, it's like so awesomely interesting and introspective, as well as extrospective, in viewing others as well as viewing yourself. And it's just so exciting and meaningful, and no end to possibilities, right? I am um, have deep desires to be able to do all I can possibly do. I don't mean in helping or doing. I mean all my mental and spiritual capabilities. And of course, that's based on the healthy body and the healthy being, right? To be able to mentally and spiritually do all that a person is able to do, right? I want to actualize those capabilities within me. So
And
that's what
and,
drives me.
and I love that you articulated that so beautifully. I feel like in share the three of you, if you will, if you feel this as well, that the energies are supporting us in that goal right now more than ever.
Right.
It just feels like to me right now that the better it gets, the better it gets, the better it gets.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's having dealt with depression and so many health issues and so forth. To be in an honest place of saying the better it gets, the better it gets. Just almost, I always think, who said that? was that me? But yeah. And do you feel that the energy is supporting things getting better?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I sure do. Yeah. And part of that is just our general awareness of so many people in the population that uh, become aware, right? Once our attention can once the blindfold is off, right? Once the knowledge is there, right? Knowledge is power. It's like knowledge increases your voltage. And once the blinders are off, you can place your attention on something and hold
Mhm.
an intention. And then, if through inner work you have no tension in your mind so that you can fully give that intention and attention, then, oh my, right? That's what allows the power of the universe to work through us.
Mhm.
And in general, through through our intentions and attentions in increasing the voltage of the universe, right? And in working in our lives and the lives of others.
Mhm.
Be the change you want to see in the world. I
Yeah.
was interviewed last
That's
week, and we were talking, and I said, that's, I think that's going to be just my goal for the rest of my life on this lifetime, is just to be the change. Because um, and through those through that growth and those changes that I've experienced, then um, I'm helping other moms, middle-aged moms, with their growth. And so I was talking to a doctor yesterday. I got just a few minutes to talk to a doctor about what I'm doing, and he was saying that his wife is going through, a lot of the different medical issues, and they were starting to think about looking for alternative treatments. And this is a hospitalist, in a hospital. And so I
Wow.
thought, gosh, if I hadn't done my work, I wouldn't be here talking to him about that. And hopefully
Mhm.
that's, sparking an interest in him, and just, getting him to look outside, and gave him my business card, and talked to him. And I said, there's a lot of doctors. I said, I've been working with a lot of doctors who are switching to functional medicine. It's a great thing right now. And he said, I think I know of a couple in the area here in the Black Hills. And so anyway, it would just made me excited, because as we raise our frequency, again, being the change that I want to see in the world, like we're just saying, that's just another way to say it. We're raising the frequency of the earth. So, and that's the energy that I think we feel, that I think we feel. So,
yes, absolutely. And this this is slightly off topic, but it's the same meaning. What I find in working with ancestors, which is what I specialize in, is that even from the oneness, once they're able to get their voltage with our help high enough so that they can make the transition into the next realm, even from there, it's like they have their mindset has changed, but they still have those pockets of energy in there that still have blocks. And it's like the more work we do in ourselves to clear the ancestors and those patterns within us, then I feel it clears in the ancestors and the oneness. And it's like they and express their joy and gratitude, as well as the ones that the ancestors that haven't been able to go to the next realm being able to go to the next realm. But it's like, even once you're there, you can we can make a difference in them. And um, I've been exploring more in past lives recently, and it's like what I think that's why people choose to return to this realm and try again. It's for two reasons. I think once we're part of the oneness and in there, and that that deep desire, that deep love that source has, it's part of us, and we want to help, we desire to be there to help. But we also know we still have those old patterns in us, and maybe eventually through a return to a life we can make a difference, or come to the people and make a difference enough in other people's lives, so eventually those pockets in us can be changed. And I just see it as such a deep, wonderful life.
Amen.
And so it is.
So it is. Yeah. So does anyone have any closing thoughts for us today? No?
Deep gratitude
Okay.
to all
Yeah.
three of you.
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you so
Joann.
much for being on, Joann. We appreciate knowing your story and sharing our stories, right? That's what life is about, to share our stories and learn from, and uh, raise the voltage of each other, right? So
Absolutely.
awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, we'll end there for today. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. Um, see you today.